This is the UC Hunting Properties Podcast, your home for all things recreational land. Our goal, to help you stand on your investment.
Howdy, y'all. Got a fun one in store for you guys, and we're actually going to do it kind of multi-part. We're out in Maine, and we've been doing multiple things, multiple projects out here, but we're with the McPhails, Lifestyle Properties of Maine, one of their agent extraordinaires in Spencer Wood. But we're here to tour a farm. We're going to look at that and do some consulting. We brought Chris with us from the Expedition Enterprises team. I think all of you know he's kind of a dirt nerd himself, or maybe I should say deer nerd. But heavy biology background and sets up and manages a lot of farms. So Chris and I are going to walk through a consultant with one of the McPhail's clients. Spencer Wood's going to be along. He's got a land management company. He's got all the right equipment to do land management and kind of setting a farm up. And really that's what we're focused here is their client is very serious about developing a farm similar to what we do in the Midwest and kind of across the deer belt, I guess, for lack of a better term. So looking forward to this. You're going to see a couple parts of this podcast. Like I said, we're going to sit down with Phil and Peter, talk about their business, talk about the lifestyle out here and kind of the off-grid experience. We're actually staying at their cabin, middle of nowhere, powered with solar and a generator, but it's got every modern amenity known to man. So cool two-part series. We're going to tee this one up, and like I said, stay with us because back-to-back weeks we're going to run these, and then we're going to keep you guys in the loop as this development comes together on this farm in the next couple years. Looking forward to it. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button. Hey guys, welcome back to the UC Hunting Properties Podcast. Kind of a special episode, I guess, with two of my most special friends. But we're in Maine, lovely Maine, with the McPhails, Lifestyle Properties of Maine. Pretty dynamic duo you two are, especially when it comes to your followers and the traction you guys got on YouTube. But appreciate the invite out. This has been an awesome trip.
Great to have you guys. It's been a good time. You brought the crew out. We was able to cruise some land yesterday. That was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Spend the night at the campfire around our cabin.
Yeah, talking shit.
Yeah.
All right, so Pete, Phil, I don't care who takes the lead on this, but give us a little background on the firm. I mean, I know your dad was in the business, and obviously you guys have grown it tremendously, but tell us a little bit about the business.
1974, Dad started the company in the side of our house, and Pete and I and my sister and another brother, we were working for him for food.
Yeah.
Food and a roof. And it kind of grew from there.
Sure. That was a pretty, very abbreviated version of what you guys got shaking here.
Yeah, we've grown it a lot over the last 10 years.
Well, you guys consistently run in that top 10, and I kind of harp on that a lot, and usually I even take it to like the top 20, because I don't think it's a surprise the brokers and agents that are hitting at that level do it consistently.
We're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, the market goes up and down, and it's still the same, the same top 20-ish people almost inevitably rising to the top. So whatever your magic is up here, you guys got it dialed in.
Well, certainly the YouTube channel that has been big, and Phil has always pushed that.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge windfall for us.
50-some thousand?
Almost 57,000 subscribers.
Yeah, it's insane.
And we're hitting anywhere from 350 to 750,000 views a month.
Yeah.
And that's driving a lot of business.
Well, we did some comparables to that. I was at a United Power class here 3-4 weeks ago or something.
Right.
And they were talking about YouTube and social medias in general, and of course you guys got brought up. And I don't mean to talk about a competitor, but a very large residential competitor, very large, that may happen to start with an R and end with an X. Your guys' brokerage actually has more YouTube subscribers than that whole company as a whole, which is mind-boggling if you really think about it.
Well, it's certainly been the focus. Stay focused on it.
Yeah.
And Phil's developed a really good system to make that thing fly, make it hum.
Yeah.
And it's worked exceptionally well. And I think too, the state of Maine, our property types are so diverse. We could, from this cabin here, within 2 hours we could be at the ocean.
Right.
We could be in the mountains.
We could be in a multi-million-dollar home on the ocean.
Right.
Or selling a camp up in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
And we are pretty centrally located. We've got offices in Bangor, Lincoln, Lubec, down on the coast.
Yep.
So it helps us branch out, and our agents are kind of freewheeling all over the state of Maine. So there's no territories that we actually are restricted to. We cover the whole state.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the interesting piece too with the YouTube channel, because we don't just showcase the property, we're going to showcase, hey, if you've never been to Maine, this is this house that we have for sale, but these are the things that you can find in this area for recreation. So
Right.
we'll find that to do. And
It's the lifestyle we're promoting.
it's a lifestyle. And
Oh, 100%.
it is. And I've had people that I've sold up properties that people had no intentions of coming to Maine, but have been watching the YouTube for a year and like, wow, Maine's a phenomenal state to live in. Let's move
really
there.
Is, yeah. It really
and
is.
nobody knows it better than we do. We travel it all the time. We do our research for our videos, so make sure that we're giving some reasonably up-to-date data,
Yeah.
and we're real. You know, we're not actors.
Well, it's the real estate brothers. Here we are, right?
Right.
Well, and you guys make a pretty cool, dynamic duo too. I mean, I know, and maybe I'm saying this wrong, Pete, so stop me if I am, but from what I gather, watching what you guys are doing, I mean, it seems like, Phil, you're very land predicated. Mm-hmm. Pete, you're very diversified, whether, to your point, it's the multi-million-dollar mansion on the water. And I don't mean to just, bottle you up in the residential
Right.
world, but I mean, it looks like you guys do a heck of a job balancing that, amongst yourselves, but also with your agents. You guys sell everything.
We do.
Maine is it's a big state, but it's a small state.
Yeah.
And there's so many different property types. We can't really specialize in just one type of property. We got to be good at everything. And I think that's why United Country's helped us so much.
It's a good fit.
It's a
right?
rural type brokerage. The different property types that we see can range from, like we just said, $1 million home to the little starting hunting cabin out in the woods for $50,000 or
Right.
less.
Right.
And we do a good job on all of it, not just the big stuff, but we give everybody
Soup to nuts, yeah.
very good marketing of their property.
No, you guys do an exceptional job on that. The one thing, and this keeps kind of, I don't know, resonating this weekend, because, I mean, this camp you guys have here is awesome. I mean, this is super cool. I wish everyone could be here and see what you guys have done here. But the one thing
don't tell too many people.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
We don't want anybody to know that if I see you drop a pin on this location, you may not get out of the main room.
I can't wait the second I leave the gate. It's happening. No.
I thought you made a copy of the key already.
I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Phil was sleeping still, but I did go get ourselves a key. So when I draw that moose tag, I got open access. But
you draw that moose tag, you can stay here for free as long as you kill a moose.
It's on record.
If you don't kill a moose,
on
it's
record.
$5,000 for the week. Unless you
I will
kill a moose freebie.
challenge accepted.
Yeah. If you can
I-
screw that up, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, no, I think Helen Keller would kill one here. But no, it's neat. And the one thing I wanted to, we've kind of talked about this in and out all weekend, but this whole, your guys' camp here, and I'm saying camp people, like, this is a house. Like, you guys have every modern amenity, and we're in the middle of nowhere. Like,
Right.
The Starlink's running, there's 7 people on it. Like, we're operating as if we were in the city. Power, hot water, the whole deal. We're drinking water right out of the tap. I mean, this is super cool, but it's off grid. Mm-hmm. And Phil and I have been talking about this all weekend, but talk to me a little bit about that. We did a podcast here. Well, actually, it just aired last week, but we did one with Matt Peachy out of the Carolinas. And Matt and his family, Matt's actually ex-Amish. So it was interesting getting his perspective, because he made a comment that when he left that Amish community and, kind of got hoisted into, call it middle America or whatever term you want to throw at it, he felt vulnerable. And he said, I felt vulnerable because here I found myself in town renting a place. I had no land. I didn't have a garden. I didn't have cattle. I didn't have pig. Go right down the list.
Right.
And he said he felt vulnerable, and I'd never really thought about that, but his whole goal is to move further away, not location-wise, but he wants to be less dependent on, let's just call it the system, and rely on himself more, with basically life skills.
We see a lot of that. A lot of people come here to homestead.
Yeah.
Off-grid is not necessarily the way to do it. Certainly having measures in place in case you lose the grid power, because solar power is expensive.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. Everybody thinks, well, you don't have a bill. Well, yeah, you do. It's all on the front end.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get your money back versus running grid power. But we see a lot of people coming here that want to garden, grow their own food, not be so dependent. Because I think COVID taught us a lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, oh boy. When the grocery stores were empty, what are you going to do?
Right.
Better have some food in the cupboard.
And a lot of people don't even know that. Like, I mean, I don't want to say they're oblivious, but they don't even really truly understand how's it work? Where's it come from? Like, and it made me think, this trip has made me think about it a lot because, Phil, you've mentioned multiple properties that you're selling, and it actually makes more sense to just run a fairly sophisticated solar system,
Right.
but it's still substantially cheaper than paying to have the power brought in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
We've got a property. What was the quote for that 3,000 feet run from the power company?
Oh, gosh.
80,000?
Yeah, I think it was around 80. But in the cost of power, 5-6 years ago, it was reasonable to run regular lines for power, but not anymore.
It just went crazy.
It went crazy. And in this specific location here, Phil and I have hunted and fished this area since we were kids.
Yeah. Yep.
Now I got
It's kind of your old stomping ground.
It's
right?
our old stomping ground. Our grandfather used to take us hunting here all the time, fishing here all the time. So it was kind of near and dear to us. But the solar piece of it, you can hire a good company to put your solar in for you, but you better go to school yourself. And I don't say go to school really, but you better learn something about the solar and how it's working. We've had a pretty expensive education here.
Yeah, we got a college degree in solar power.
Right.
What not to do.
Well, I think people are intrigued. I mean, I think everyone thinks, oh, yeah, throw the panels on the back roof and we don't have a power bill anymore.
Right.
Because I do agree with you, Phil. I mean, if you have grid power, utilize it.
Yeah.
But the concept of either having the supplemental solar or, like in your guys' case, I mean, you're off grid. Like, this is
100%.
It's the only option other than running a generator all day long.
Mm-hmm.
That's an aesthetics thing that nobody really wants to listen to that.
But in the same, like, you guys are almost bulletproof, right? I mean, your solar will, in essence, do everything you want. They're charging up some batteries, so overnight, sun's not shining, whatever. You still got that going. And then if that reaches a specific level, you have a backup generator kicking on so it doesn't fry the batteries from getting them drained too low. So, like, I was kind of mind blown when we went out in the garage and you showed me the system because I was like, that's pretty bulletproof.
Yeah, it's pretty sophisticated. And when we were out visiting with you and I over at the training last year, I have the software on my phone and I'm checking the status of what's going on here. So, the technology does make it easier in a way.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's getting better all the time.
Yeah, literally better all the time.
We do off-the-grid stuff, solar in Iowa, but you are way more rural here. So when you're looking at a property around here, the knowledge that you have and just hands-on, it's your own stuff because you guys do own your own land and own your own rural properties.
Right.
But to be able to come in and say, hey, I want to buy that 40, that 80, whatever, and I am 4 miles from the nearest power line.
Right.
And then to be able to go to your realtor and say, and you would be able to raise your hand, I can help. This is what I do.
Well, and literally have a consultant. You know what I mean? Like, I get you guys, your day-to-day is real estate, right? But even your understanding of systematically how to go about this, that'd be...
We're not electricians. We wouldn't wire the system together or any of that, but... we know who to talk to.
Right.
And
certainly what to look out for.
Yeah,
and don't make the same mistakes we made.
Right. Yeah,
well,
so we tell people
to know, hey, this is what that your client's going to use it for.
Right.
Okay, you're going to have your family, 3 kids and mom, dad.
Right.
All right, that means what we have here, or what you guys have here, may not be sufficient. Like you guys were even talking, we might need an extra battery if we want to do this or that.
Right.
That type of stuff is invaluable for somebody that's coming and really is green at it.
Yeah. Well, because I think everyone wants to, hey, I'm going to save the world and, put a sustainable solar system in it. And I mean, the reality is there's a lot to it. You better understand, or I think, Pete, I think you said it, get an education.
Yeah, you get an education. Because especially in the state of Maine, I mean, in the wintertime, come November, we're getting dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep.
So, know how to run your solar, but also it's conservation too. You know, if I'm gonna do a load of laundry or whatever, if I'm gonna run the coffee pot
during the day.
you know, you're gonna figure that stuff out.
Yep.
You know, you're gonna do. Hey, it's gonna be sunny tomorrow. I'll do my laundry tomorrow. Whereas the next 2 days it's gonna be raining.
Right.
So there's a consoration piece involved too.
It changes your lifestyle. If you're going to live like this, and you have, you're doing things like you said when it makes sense.
Yeah, you think about it.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put the old priority list together. But and the reason it kind of clicked with me is, I mean, you guys called and lean on us, and obviously we appreciate you guys tremendously in your support of UC Hunting Properties. But as that's getting some traction up here in the Northeast, you guys are going, hey, we know some dudes in the Midwest that, you know, this is kind of their DNA. This is what they eat, sleep, and breathe.
Right.
And I got thinking about that, and I was like, that's why we're here. But in the same, like, I feel like I was getting an education on, you know, this off-grid lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how else you'd say it. I mean, we ran into a guy yesterday on the road when we were over at Ken's, and him and his wife are plumb off the grid. Like, their goal is to continue to, you know, even go further that direction.
Yeah.
I don't know if there'd be many more better places to do it than Maine. This place is gorgeous.
I would agree with you. And I think for me, yesterday was, you know, I was kind of like drinking through a fire hose, listening to you guys and laying out this piece of property and the different the sites and how you're going to develop it. I really enjoyed that. I mean, I learned a ton yesterday.
Yeah, I did too. And you know, we've been hunting our whole life, but
absolutely,
this guy here, I think he was probably a half deer.
Yeah.
He's a around the woods. He is a nerd. Yeah.
Do you know anyone else? Have you ever even heard of anyone else that takes liver biopsies out of deer to see if they have any nutrient deficiency?
No.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying.
We didn't do that here. We're not gonna do it.
And he actually does it by taste. That's what's so weird. Yeah. Just one bite. But no, you know, so yesterday was cool, Phil, and I'm going to go down that, you know, call rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But you have a client in Ken.
Yeah.
And I think you said you actually ran into Ken or got introduced to Ken at a trade show, right?
We, Pete and I and Spencer were doing a trade show, a sportsman show here in Maine in Augusta. It's called the Maine Sportsman Show. And
clever name.
Right. we're promoting our real estate listings and our company and our services. And Ken came up and we started a conversation. And at first, I kind of thought, Ken, you know, he wants a food plot. I can help him with that. Sure. I don't need any help to put, you know, we've done enough growing in fields and to know what you got to do, the basics. And the more I got talking with him, I'm like, you know what, this is going over my head. But I got a couple guys I know that you know, love to talk to you. And then you guys hooked up and boom.
Yeah, clicked.
You're here.
And that is neat because, I mean, I know we talked, and the fact that you guys have Spencer Wood on the team is I mean, it's a big deal.
He's jumped into this head first.
Yeah, he's all in.
With his own company to start doing land improvements as well. So
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, so obviously fast forward, we get here. The goal is to go out and meet the landowner, obviously put boots on the ground, tour the farm, and it's a big farm. It's a 470 or 480 acre tract. Very diverse, a lot of topography. And Ken's lucky starting with a farm that already had some open areas. It's not just solid timber. So he's leaps and bounds ahead of the curve. But that's why Chris and I were here, obviously, is looking at it and looking at it from a hunter's perspective on how do you set a farm up to maximize, you know, basically every acre, you know, and make improvements.
And I really like the way you had a consultation with him on site before we ever got on the ground. We're in his little cabin talking about his goals.
His goals.
And I was impressed on how you guys handle that. And,
Me too.
And this guy's building this plan around his goals, right? Mm-hmm. And that's critical. And it's critical for us when we're trying to help people sell or buy property. What do you want to? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
If we don't understand that, what are you going to do for them, right?
Well, I think that's the foundation, right? Like, I mean, if Ken would have said, "Hey, I'm a diehard bow hunter, you know, this is my kingdom. I'm a one-man band," we'd have probably went about it different than we did. But when there was mention of, you know, 6+ guys at once doing a rifle camp out there, right, you know, that changes how you set things up. It changes how you're going to access and use the farm. So yeah, I mean, step one's always going to be, you know, how do they intend to use it, and then you model it from there.
Well, and when he said, like, I don't want to get cold,
Yeah.
Like, okay, that means we're going to be setting up more blinds than we are tree stands.
Yeah.
You know, and then also
we're
who's going to be here? Do you
we're
have grandkids? Do you not? He doesn't have it yet, but you got to start prepping for that stuff.
Yeah, tighten blind, easy button, easy button, easy button. We're not getting cold. You're going to step out of a heated Can-Am, take about 30 steps, climb into a heated blind.
You know, you see people online that'll, oh, you guys aren't real hunters, blah, blah, blah. But you know what, folks? Everybody does it differently, right?
That's right.
And you can't poo-poo the guy that wants to be comfortable because, you know, we're getting to be a rare breed, us hunters, right? We want to keep those traditions alive. We better embrace other ways of thinking about how we want it.
You know, really, I kind of look at it like any evolution, right? I mean, look at the compound bows we were using 25 years ago versus today. Or, you know, I mean, even the technology and rifles and the optics and stuff. So I'll push back against that argument all day because I'm with you, Phil. I mean, as the baby boomer generation ages, you know, they're not wanting to do Northwoods freeze your ass off. Like, I get it.
I still sit in the tree stand, but there's days I think I got rocks in my head.
Yeah. You're like, what is wrong with me?
Right.
You know?
I'm something here freezing to death.
And really, I mean, with just a couple upgrades, you can sit in the comfort of basically a house. I mean, it's about the equivalent anymore. So, anyway, we appreciate the invite. I mean, we are super excited to see how that development goes, how that relationship goes. I think Ken would add on to that farm tomorrow if you called him. And the neighbors is available. I mean, I think, I don't know where the end is with Ken.
Yeah.
I think he'd keep rocking and rolling.
Like I told you guys yesterday, I never regretted a property I bought, but boy, I've regretted the ones I didn't.
Right.
And we've talked about it. We
Yeah.
screwed up on a property we own. We should have bought
one of
that
our
lot.
hunting properties we could have added to it, and we didn't, and we had the opportunity.
And we say what all our half of our YouTube commenters say it was too much money. No, it wasn't.
Right.
We thought it was. That was
Right.
stupid.
Well, and we're in the same boat. I mean, shit in Iowa, you know, I look back and, I mean, I remember thinking at 19, 20 years old, there's no way I can afford to buy land. Well, in hindsight, I should have just figured it out. I mean, that shit's went tenfold since
I bought
then.
my first property when I was 20, I think, and I borrowed every nickel of it from the credit union.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big buy. It was a couple acres of land.
Right.
And took years to pay for it, but we ended up selling it for way more than we purchased it for. So, you know, there's
That's why we say
Take
stand
a
on
risk.
your investment, man.
Take a
Like,
risk, absolutely.
Yeah, you can park it in the market or you can park it in dirt. And
You know, when the stock market goes south, you're just depressed. When the real estate market takes a small decline and it always comes back, you still got a property you can
got
enjoy.
it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, regardless of where the market's
Yeah.
at, you can stand on it, right?
You know, and if the timber's not selling good right now, that's okay. Let it grow on the stump.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I'm just enthralled with everything you guys got going up here because it is such a cool backdrop of sorts. Like there were multiple times yesterday. I'm like, God, this looks just like where we bear hunt in Canada. Smells the same, looks the same, critter rich.
Flies were the same.
Yeah,
Mosquitoes were the same.
Mosquitoes are the same for sure.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. I have a special relationship with the bugs here in Maine. They don't bother me because I keep bringing guys like you into Maine to feed them.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. We're easy.
We are easy.
Oh, I would have traded sitting around the fire though for a couple mosquitoes. No big deal.
Oh, that wasn't too bad.
These guys come out with like tennis racket looking things that are bug zappers, and you swing them around and zap them.
It's a real sport here.
Yeah, it is.
It's actually quite. It's so satisfying when you hear that.
Pickleball ain't got shit on that.
Not even close.
Oh, funny. Well, I guess we'll keep this short and sweet. We're still going to keep pounding forward with your guys' bios and stuff, but wanted to get you guys on. Like I said, you guys have been probably some of the longest term supporters of the program and big supporters right up to this day. And
started year one with Travis.
Yeah, we can't
guy.
thank you guys enough. I mean, you guys are awesome and keep hammering on the YouTube stuff. We love it. Anything you want to leave the listeners with? Either one of you?
Come on up to Maine.
I'll second
you
that.
really need you're going to really need to know how to hunt to come to Maine. You can't, put a feeder out for them.
Well, and I do think we should schedule a trip for Gary Hubble to get out here. Phil's an expert fly fisherman, and so is Gary. We could even turn it into a little contest, I think.
That would make sense.
Most fish in 2 hours.
Sounds like a challenge.
That is a challenge.
You know, I've never wanted to make my fly fishing a competition.
I just did.
Yeah, it would be neat.
Gary
to
Hubble,
watch.
we're calling you out.
We'll go
coming to Maine.
We'll go catch bass. That's a horrible thing to do to trout.
Yeah, I guess there isn't a trout tournament I've ever heard of, but there's a lot of bass tournaments.
Yeah, and the bass fishing in this state is phenomenal.
I'm sure.
On flies. I just came back for a 2-day trip
Just hammer
from
time.
the lodge, and we hammered them.
Right. I'm not surprised. I think if it's everything's bigger here, like everything. I love it. Wild, dense, nasty, big mosquitoes.
Beautiful country, man.
It is beautiful country. Yeah, I wish they could see the mountains right out the back window, but
I'm sure that Tyler can share that with them.
oh yeah, he's been zipping around taking pictures. But appreciate you guys, and like I said, we'll do this again for sure.
Sounds great.
Thanks,
Awesome.
dudes.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Thank you guys for coming.